ever walked out of a meeting thinking that went well? Everybody nodded, nobody challenged you, people seemed engaged. But then days later, something changed. The decision you expected did not happen. The support you thought you had was not there. And you discovered something uncomfortable. The real decision was not made in the meeting, it was made afterward. In the conversations you were not invited to, private discussions in hallways, the messages sent after everyone left, the questions people asked each other when you were no longer in the room. Because communication is not only about what people hear from you, it is about the meaning they create after they hear you. And that is where influence is actually built. Most people think communication happens when you speak, but great communicators understand something that's deeper. Communication continues long after the words are finished. Every interaction creates a story. People do not just remember your presentation, your meeting, or your explanation. They interpret it. They decide what it means, decide what it says about your confidence, your competence, your intentions, and your judgment. And those interpretations become the foundation for future decisions. This is why two leaders can say almost the exact same thing and create completely different reactions. One person inspires confidence, the other creates doubt. The difference is not always the words. The difference is the story people tell themselves afterwards. Imagine a leader announces a major change. Say, for example, leader number one says, "We are making this change because we have analyzed the situation carefully, and this is the best path forward." The meeting ends, people leave, and the conversation afterwards becomes, "Do you think they really understand what is happening? Why did they wait so long to tell us? I wonder what they're not telling us." Now imagine another leader says it like this: "I know this change creates uncertainty. There are things we do not know yet. But here is what we understand. Here is what we are still evaluating. And here is how we will make the decision as we learn more." The conversation afterwards sounds different. Something like this. People say they are being honest, they have thought this through, or they trust that they will communicate with us. Same situation, different narrative, different outcome. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is believing that clarity means having all the answers, but it doesn't. People do not always need certainty. They need confidence in your thinking. They need to understand your process. They need to believe your decisions are intentional, because when people cannot understand your reasoning, they create their own explanation. And people are very good at filling empty spaces. Unfortunately, they do not always fill those spaces with the most generous interpretation. This is especially important in leadership because influence is often decided in moments when you're absent. Someone asks, "What did you think of that idea?" Or, "What do you think about that person? Do you trust their judgment?" Those questions are powerful because they reveal the invisible reputation you've built. Your reputation is not created only by what you say when you are present. Is created by what people repeat when you're gone. That is the conversation after the conversation. So how do you become more intentional about these hidden conversations? The first principle is this: do not only communicate information, communicate interpretation. Many professionals focus on delivering facts. They explain numbers or strategy or get really detailed. But they forget to answer the question people are actually asking. What does this mean? People need context. They need to understand why something matters. They need to know what conclusions they should draw. If you do not provide meaning, someone else will. The second principle, pay attention to emotional residue. Every conversation leaves something behind. People may forget your exact words, but they remember how the interaction felt. Did they feel respected? Dismissed? Did they even feel included? Did they feel like they were protecting your own position? Or did they feel like you were helping them understand a difficult reality? The emotional residue of a conversation often becomes the foundation for the next conversation. The third principle, do not underestimate silence. Sometimes the most important communication happens through what you do not say. A leader who avoids difficult questions sends a message. A leader who listens carefully sends a message. And a leader who admits uncertainty sends a message. Silence is not empty. It is interpreted. The question is whether you are choosing the message or allowing others to choose it for you. This is why great communicators think beyond the moment. They ask, what will people say about this when I am not there? What questions will they ask afterwards? What assumptions will they make? What story will they tell? Because the goal of communication is not simply to deliver a message. The goal is to create the right understanding. In a world where everyone can access information instantly, influence is becoming less about who knows the most. It's becoming more about who can create clarity, who can reduce uncertainty, and who can help people make sense of complexity. The leaders who succeed are not always the loudest people in the room. They're the people whose ideas continue working after they leave. Their words continue through other people. Their judgment continues through other people. And their influence continues through other people. That is the power of the conversation after the conversation. The next time you finish an important meeting, don't only ask, did I communicate clearly? Ask a better question. Ask, what conversation did I create after I left? Because the conversation may be the one that actually decides your future. Until next time, speak with intent.